Welcome back to the Healthy Skin Coach Show. I'm your host, Takashi, helping you get clear skin and biohacking your life for longevity. Today, I have a very special guest with me. His name is Jacob, and he runs the site My Biohack. And he writes some of the most in-depth articles and research studies on biohacking and on longevity, on nutrition. Yeah, there's so much research and studies in his website that I really love it. And so I invited him onto the podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Takashi. I enjoy being here.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic intro. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And your stories, I read your About Me page, and your story is kind of similar to mine. You went through some medical conditions like me, and we really weren't satisfied with any doctors that we saw. So we took it on ourselves to research what the hell is happening to our bodies. Could you kind of explain your background and how you became interested in biohacking?
Sure. Back in college, I started a program that was in Boston. And coming from a background of living in Florida, where I would be outside all the time and get lots of sunlight, and I had a lot of good home cooking from my mother. She makes amazing food. Going to college in a dormitory that's inside and indoors and never getting sunlight, eating dormitory food, completely ruined my health. And I was healthy before then, no complaints or anything that I could talk about. And when I got to college, my health broke down. And maybe it's some bad genetics, but also probably a bad environment. After college, I got really sick. My health got even worse out of college. And I just kept pushing through it, thinking, oh, I have IBS. I saw tons of doctors. I went to Harvard medical school and talked to doctors there. And I was just given just prescriptions to try to fix things, PPIs, a few different other things. Nothing really helped my health until I took it upon my own hands. And it wasn't until I was living in Los Angeles when I was starting to get some good sun. I was able to get some fresher air and longer days where my health started getting better. Changed my diet, changed a lot of things, changed my lifestyle completely and my mindset. And it wasn't until then I started to get a lot better by taking everything into my own hands.
Yeah, definitely. And it's very similar to my story. Like as a young kid, I had eczema here and there, and it was whatever. But then in high school and especially in college, my acne got crazy. I thought I was eating healthy, but obviously I wasn't eating healthy. So my acne got crazy. And then just last year, my eczema went crazy. And I'm like really crazy. Like I was debilitated in my bed and like bleeding on my sheets.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like,
Yeah.
what is going on,
Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
So, and I couldn't work because with skin it's 24/7, especially with eczema.
Yeah.
it-
People can see it on you.
right,
Whereas what I had, people were just saying you have look good, feel bad syndrome.
right. Yeah, skin is like the first thing people notice. If you have other problems on the inside, you can kind of mask it, but with skin, you just can't hide from it, and it affects
Maybe
your.
today with the mask you can do it.
No, I was head to toe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it like affects your confidence, which can affect your performance at work or at school. So everything, right?
Totally.
And I've seen multiple doctors and multiple dermatologists, been prescribed over 20 steroid creams in my lifetime. And I knew that wasn't the answer. So I just spent months just studying the science behind health, behind nutrition, behind biohacking, behind skin. And I just discovered things that no doctor or dermatologist will tell you. And I'm like, I have to help others because I was able to heal using food as the ultimate medicine and using a natural form of healing, right?
That's
Using your
fantastic.
own
Yeah.
body because your body has an amazing ability to heal itself. You have to feed it with the right fuel, and you have to put it in the right environment, and you have to make the right lifestyle choices.
I totally agree with that.
Right. And
Yeah.
I wasn't making those three decisions prior to this. And now that I've healed, And now I'm in the best shape of my life with an 8 pack that I never expected I would have. It's one of those like blessings in disguises where I had to have a medical condition blindside me at the age of 26 in order to focus on my health for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And now I'm, focused on clear skin and biohacking and living to 777 years old. That's
I
what
would
I
love
say
to
in
see
all my
that. I'll
videos.
be there with you at that
Yeah.
number.
And I just want to help people with skin problems because I went through it all. I had the the severe acne, I had the severe eczema, I went through the depression and the suicidal thoughts, right? And all these people around the world are reaching out to me because they have psoriasis or eczema or acne, and they've seen multiple doctors, right? They've seen the dermatologist,
Yeah,
they've been
totally.
given the creams, the Accutanes, and they're still suffering.
Yeah,
Well,
they've tried the conventional way
right,
and they're looking for an alternative way.
right.
Yeah.
And I asked them about their diet, and usually it's just the most inflammatory foods you can think of. So I know that I can help them with nutrition and with lifestyle and helping to reduce inflammation.
I'm
And
curious, what is your diet?
right now it's the cleanest it's ever been in my life. So salmon every day for the omega 3s,
Hmm.
and then kale and blueberry and flax milk smoothie with turmeric inside. Turmeric is one of those miracle roots. Like in every clinical study I read about longevity, like turmeric is in there somewhere, you
Yeah,
know?
it seems to be proven over and over again that it has
Yeah,
a multitude of benefits.
yeah. And then I'll throw in 4 eggs. Eggs, great source of proteins. But again, this is just my diet. I recommend everyone getting a food sensitivity test and knowing exactly what foods are inflaming your body and which foods are optimal for your body. Like I think fad diets are a joke
Hmm.
because you can be sensitive to any of the foods in any of these diets, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So, and people just have no idea that they can be sensitive to vegetables or fruits. Like even vegetarians can get eczema and psoriasis. Well, you can be sensitive to salicylates, you can be sensitive to nightshades or oxalates, any of these ingredients. So you have to understand which foods release inflammatory chemicals inside your body. Like that's
Absolutely.
so obvious, but people just have no idea. And then what else do I eat? So I was eating almonds, but I had to cut it out because it's so packed with omega 6s. Like I didn't know that until my eczema kind of started flaring up again.
Yeah, but it's a good source of protein,
It is,
the almonds.
but
If you're
but
eating a
ever
high
since
salmon diet, the almonds should not be too bad. It's not like you're eating corn or
right,
a bunch of trees.
I don't eat corn, but these almonds were soaked in vegetable oils.
Oh, I see.
And
So the pre-flavored.
right,
Yeah,
the
okay.
the vegetable oils super inflammatory with omega 6s,
Hmm.
and then it had some maltodextrin, so
Oh
some
yeah.
like corn like sprinkled on for flavor. So now I try to boil my almonds that have flavor on them to try to get rid of the vegetable oils. That's
Does that
how.
work? I feel like it would just oxidize them. Then you have oxidized fat.
Yeah, like so for now I still have a giant bag, like a 2 pound bag of almonds that I
Yeah.
haven't touched in a few days just to get my skin back in check. But yeah, ever since going through that crazy flare up last year, my body has been super sensitive, and even the littlest amount just gets my skin going. So I'd rather have clear skin than carbs and sugars and the omega 6s, right?
Totally. So
So
what may have happened there is something where your body becomes sensitized when it's in a hyperimmune state. So your immune system can be primed to react to anything if you're very inflammatory. And if you were eating almonds all the time and you
yeah,
were in this inflammatory state and you were having a flare, your body may be sensitized to those almonds because of that. That happened to me with eggs.
yeah,
Like
totally
I believe the eggs and which are high in choline. So any cholinergics do that to me. Like give me a flare.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which sucks because eggs it's one of the best sources of protein.
Oh, I love eggs. I'll still eat them, but I'll just know I'll flare.
Oh, damn. And what kind of symptoms do you experience?
For me, it's brain fog, depression, just like low mood, inability to sleep, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've noticed that my sleep has been off lately. So I'll get like a full cycle, full REM cycle in, and then I'll
Mhm.
wake up at 2. So I'll go to bed at 11. And then without fail, I'll wake up at 2. And then I can't really get back to sleep. So then I'll check my phone. Even it's on night mode, so the blue
Yeah,
light's
yeah,
off, right?
totally.
But then I'll check my phone. I'll watch some YouTube videos, and then eventually I go back to sleep at like 4, and then wake up at 8. So it's a weird sleeping pattern. I'm trying to fix
Yeah.
it right now. But what I really need is for gyms to be open so I can get a really good workout and
Well,
in
you
the
may be
sauna.
more towards a biphasic sleeping pattern in general.
Yeah.
So back before there was electricity and people were going according to natural light circadian rhythm, they would go to sleep a few hours after the sunset because there was really nothing to do. And then they wake up in the middle of the night and they'd have a period of 2 hours. I forget the name that it was called, but the first sleep was called your beauty sleep or your deep sleep. And then your second sleep was, I think it's just called second sleep. And that time in between the first sleep and the second sleep, you'd either read a book, you'd go hang out with your neighbor, or I mean, you'd have sex with your partner if you're in bed together. So it was like a time that's been documented where people are awake. So it's not something like totally outlandish. It's just in our modern day society, we try to compact everything into times.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard that, but yeah, that could totally be it. Like that could be my ancestral Neanderthal coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. You could look at your circadian rhythm genes and your clock genes and things like that and try to figure that out.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to know what your results are. But that's, yeah, I've totally seen clients that have that problem. I mean, when I have that problem, if I'm with a partner, then that's what I'll do, or I'll read a book or
Yeah. Or you'll get it on.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also need saunas. Like I got so used to the saunas every day that now
Hmm.
I'm having like withdrawals.
Oh yeah.
And I
Man,
mean, saunas
saunas
are so
are
good for you.
so
They,
amazing.
oh,
Apart from the skin, it's just the endorphin effect is so good. I
yeah.
had a shoot. So part of last year, I was working as a videographer for short form documentaries for PBS and other public television. And one of the places we shot in was Finland. So we were there for a week, and it's every building there has a wet sauna, and it is so awesome. Like the apartment buildings there, like that are next to each other, everyone has them built in to their shower. It is really cool. So I spent like an hour in the morning in sauna and then an hour before bed doing sauna, and man, like I came out of there with healthy skin and feeling freaking amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah.
the research studies are done in Finland when it comes to saunas.
Totally. Yeah, they know what's up.
Yeah. I mean, you listen to Rhonda Patrick go on and on about saunas and how it activates
Yeah.
heat shock proteins and activates hormesis so you can live longer. It strengthens your body and makes it resilient. And I'm like, I just gotta, get my saunas in every day.
Well, the
Steaks,
point of
Rhoda season.
hormesis is that you can do it a couple times and it lasts a while. So you should have some resilience for a while
Mm,
if you've been doing it regularly.
I have, but
It is addictive because there's an endorphin rush, but
yeah,
the resilience part should be lasting.
yeah. But I mean, this quarantine just needs to end, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a vaccine or some kind of hapten-free alternative needs to be made.
Yeah. And YouTube took down my video on using saunas to boost your white blood cells to fight off the coronavirus.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I wonder if it goes against their copyright or terms of service.
It was like alternative views on the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so they took it down, even though the science is there. Like you're boosting, white blood cells.
It's a private company.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, they can do whatever they want.
They can.
I think
Um,
Vimeo is a little bit better at hosting in terms of that.
yeah, yeah. But it's whatever. It
With
got
Ocean, you can post pretty much whatever.
yeah, yeah. And then just yesterday, I posted a video. I don't know if you watched it, but I was commenting the world's strongest man's diet. And I titled it Biohacker Reviews the World's Strongest Man's Diet.
Is that the really strong power lifter? I forget his name.
Well,
He's like doing the super heavy deadlifts,
yeah.
and yeah,
His
yeah, I
name,
saw a
well,
video of him eating like was it 5,000 or like 10,000 calories, some ridiculous number.
no, he ate 12,000 calories
That
in that video.
12,000? Oh my god, that
And
is ridiculous.
yeah. And then I talk
But
about
he's
how
huge.
I talk about how he's overactivating mTOR, the
Yeah.
mammalian target of rapamycin, and how when when you're growing up, you want to activate mTOR to have protein synthesis, grow your cells, and have replication. But when you're an adult, you want to inhibit mTOR to live longer because it's
Hmm.
the same pathway as cancers. And yeah, over 70% of cancers have an overactivated mTOR. And you're inhibiting autophagy, which you need to remove dead proteins and cells that build up inside the body. So these bodybuilders and strongmen who are eating just 5,000 to 10,000 to 12,000 calories every single day is just crazy to me, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, statistic is that the average lifespan for bodybuilders is 47.7 years old. Yeah, so
Does he have heart disease? Probably at the end of
it
it.
well, it's a combination of the drugs that they are taking,
Hmm.
steroids, performance enhancing drugs, insulin, which activates mTOR, and just the amount of food that they're eating, in the size, and it just overworks the heart, overworks every organ in your body. And yeah,
Yeah.
and I talk about the trade-off between performance and longevity.
Yeah.
you
I'm
know
sure he's got a very fulfilled life right now. And
yeah,
he's probably living it for the moment and for being the strongest man. That's an amazing title to have.
it is.
He's not going for longevity. But the people that are listening to this podcast or this show are probably here for longevity. So we
Yeah,
can tell them to do the opposite. But if
yeah,
you're a bodybuilder and you're trying to do longevity, I would make sure you're feeding yourself, if it's high caloric diet, during the day, and that you're fasting at night, or at least take 1 or 2 days a week to fast.
yeah,
That way you at least have time for autophagy and to reduce mTOR activation.
yeah. And I'm not trying to hate. Like, I want everyone
Totally.
to achieve clear skin and longevity. So if any bodybuilders or strongmen are out there and need our help, just like reach out to us because we can help you live longer using
Absolutely. We're
science.
here for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But what are some of your favorite biohacks?
Some of my favorite biohacks. Well, before I get into biohacks, I want to talk about a little bit about lifestyle or getting a inflammation panel done first, and maybe a hormone panel if you have a problem is probably really necessary, because a lot of the biohacks are going to act like a band-aid to your problems, just like taking a drug if you're not addressing the inflammation or the source. So if you have like an underlying problem, like a thyroid problem or whatever, then you've got to work on that first. And then doing things that are biohacks are then you can do them. So I'll go through my biohacks now. If I really follow a circadian rhythm, and that's really important. If you are outside or have a lot of sunlight during the day and completely block blue light at night, and if you eat your diet during the day and stop eating at night when the sun goes down, that has a tremendous effect on your dopaminergic system and your which helps with motivation and overall sense of well-being, and also helps with your sleep. It helps with autophagy, longevity. So if you don't have that down and you're obese or you're overweight, that's probably the first thing you want to address. Another awesome biohack that I think is really important are hormetic tools. So things that activate NRF2, which is a gene that turns on antioxidant genes. So it creates glutathione and a few other things. What I like to do to turn on NRF2 are like exercise. So like intense exercise will increase NRF2 activation in your body. Another thing is like we were talking about Rhonda Patrick before. She's big into sulforaphane, which is a chemical found in broccoli sprouts when you combine myrosinase and glucoraphanin. And I like to add a little bit of mustard to all my cruciferous vegetables because they all have some glucoraphanin. If I want to add some myrosinase to it, I can make sulforaphane instead of having to taste awful broccoli sprouts. But I
Mhm.
have this great biohack for making a broccoli sprout smoothie that actually makes it taste like. Do you remember what was the name of it? They Uncrustables.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
love them.
The peanut butter and jelly flavored Uncrustables.
Yeah.
I was able to get broccoli sprouts to somewhat taste like that. So I would take 1 part grape juice to 3 parts water, and then broccoli sprouts in a blender and blend that all up. And it has like the first initial taste is the grape, and the rest of the flavor is the aftertaste is kind of like a peanut buttery, uncrustable, earthy flavor, and it makes eating broccoli sprouts actually enjoyable, more
Interesting.
enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, I look for broccoli sprouts, but they're not sold at like Ralph's or
Yeah, you probably can't find
Sprouts.
them at Rolf's. You probably have to go to like Lassen's or Whole Foods or Sprouts or something like that.
No, I look for them at Sprouts, and I
Yeah,
I didn't find them.
it's hilarious that they don't have broccoli sprouts at Sprouts. Hence the name Sprout.
Oh no, are you talking like the baby like broccoli sprouts or
Yes, sprouted. I mean, you can get the seeds online if you want to make it yourself too.
yeah, but I mean I enjoy like eating the broccoli, and I just got my Vitamix, which is like the King Kong of blenders.
Oh
So that's
yeah, that's
why
awesome.
that yeah, so that's why I've been making my smoothies every morning, and it's so good. It's so easy to get your nutrients in. Like it's one of the best investments for your health because you don't have to waste time cooking, and you're getting more nutrients in because it's in the raw form. So a blender and the food sensitivity test and the omega-3 test, I would say are my top 3 investments that I would recommend everyone for their health. And you would be surprised at how inflamed your cell membranes are based on the omega-3 test. On average, Americans are 25 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. A healthy level is a 3 to 1.
Oh
An
wow,
optimal
that is
level,
a very messed up ratio there.
yeah, an optimal level is 1 to 1, which I'm trying to achieve, so that every omega-3 will inhibit the inflammatory effects of omega-6s. And people taking standard fish oil supplements are still inflamed at 16 to 1 because the fish oil gets oxidized in the body. And what companies do is strip away the polyphenols inside the fish oil
Mhm.
that makes it bioavailable. So they're actually stripping away. So it's less bioavailable in the body. So that's why I really recommend Zinzino's Balance Oil that combines the olive polyphenols and vitamin D, which 90% of Americans are deficient or insufficient in. And that's one of my favorite supplements that I take every day.
That's nice. Yeah, you have to remember that your body or your cells have a fatty membrane, and your cells, when they go through autophagy, they need to either use what proteins and fats that they have or whatever's found in your diet. And if you're recycling those fatty membranes with oxidized fat, then you're going to have oxidized cells.
Mhm. If you look into the pathway of omega 6s to arachidonic acid to prostaglandins and leukotrienes, like now that I understand the inflammatory pathway, then it's almost like you can't unthink it. I view the world through like the lens of inflammation. It's a blessing and a curse because I'm such a
Yeah.
like a bum kill at parties.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like I can't eat that, man. That's too inflammatory.
There's
Uh,
a term called zigzag, where you'll do all the right things for 90% of your life, and then you get to enjoy life for another 10%, which is the zagging. So you'll eat all your healthy fats for a month, but one day out of that month, you may zag and, you know, eat fried French fries or something. Eat something that's oxidized.
Right.
You got to
Uh,
live life. But if
yeah.
you're chronically inflamed, then you probably want to stick into the category of constantly eating good food until you've got that under control. And then you could zigzag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how you can get over the OCD part of being worried about things and being like a bum at parties or,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
Because I used to be the same way.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I've just studied too much into inflammatory diseases, and pretty much every medical condition stems from inflammation, and heart disease, cancers, autoimmune conditions, Alzheimer's, everything. It's just you have too much prostaglandins and leukotrienes inside the body. And I'm like, oh, well, I think I want to not have those medical conditions in the future. So I'm going to like hyper optimize my body, you know?
Mm-hmm. You should look at pro-resolving mediators. So I take a product called SPMs, and what they are essentially the byproduct that your body makes after consuming fish oil. So it shuts down the inflammatory response, and they're highly effective. I highly recommend getting them.
Yeah. Send me a link. I'll check it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do I do? So I do Wim Hof breathing every morning,
Nice.
activate my vagus nerve, calm me
Cold
down.
thermogenesis.
Yep. And I wrote a Medium post that it decreases pro-inflammatory cytokines and increases anti-inflammatory cytokine, interleukin 10, by 200%. And that was the study.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how effective it is. It also really increases your dopamine levels
Yeah.
and your norepinephrine.
Yeah.
So you can really get a nice jolt out of that. Like
Yeah.
if you do that right in the morning, quench your inflammation. I mean, if your cortisol levels are skewed and you don't get the anti-inflammatory effect of cortisol in the morning, then cold thermogenesis, like with ice baths and cold showers, freaking fantastic.
Yeah. And I do cold showers every day, every time I shower.
Hormones and good for your skin. So
Yeah. I cheat and I'll start warm, but then I, go cold. And I've never done an ice bath, and I really want to.
you could always just go up north and go into a cold lake, or
Yeah.
or if you're living in California, just drive a little bit north and you can go to the cold ocean.
Good. Yeah, I could. What else do I do? Oh yeah, and I fast. So I intermittent fast I only eat from 12 to 8, usually 12 to 7.
Yeah,
And then I'll do a 1 day fast when I run out of groceries, and then a 3 day fast every month. At least I try to.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to fast just the first of every month.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do intermittent fasting and
Yeah.
essentially caloric restriction, except for the days that I really want to put on. So days that I'm doing a lot of like growth hormone exercises, like things that are working my glutes or my core, with heavy lifting, I'll eat a higher calorie diet, or just for that day. So I'll get the benefits of growth hormone for my body, but also the other days I can be fine with autophagy.
Yeah. So my weight is pretty stable at 160,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to be 205 pounds in my
What's your height?
bulking 6 feet.
Okay, so yeah, so that's good.
Yeah. So
You probably have a BMI of around 2.
like my body fat's the lowest it's ever been.
Yeah.
I got an 8 pack, and I wasn't even trying for it, right? But when you fast and work out, you just naturally get
It
it.
just pops out. Totally.
Yeah.
I have that same problem.
But yeah, I used to be 205 pounds eating Panda Express every day, trying to do a dirty bulk.
Yeah.
And I felt so sluggish and just, yeah, mentally fatigued. And it's, I don't know how bodybuilders do it.
I
It
mean, you
doesn't
may
feel
not
good.
need the mental energy. Also, if you've got really good resilience and some really good genes that lower your immune system so you're not really activated by inflammatory foods, then you can probably eat that. I mean, these bodybuilders are probably not like trying to score high test scores. You know,
Yeah.
it's a different way of life than what we're
Yeah.
living.
But yeah, right now, I'm still trying to heal just a little bit of the eczema. Yeah, I'm pretty sure from the almonds, and
What's your biggest issue? Is that it right now?
just yeah, just a little bit of eczema. Yeah,
Hmm. Have you tried infrared therapy or red light therapy for your eczema?
I have not.
That would be something great for you. So that increases mitochondrial function, ATP synthesis, and has a anti-inflammatory effect and a hormetic effect at the same time.
Mhm.
So infrared, like infrared saunas are out there, but like infrared light or red light in the 600 nanometer range to 850 nanometer range can get on the surface of your skin and underneath it.
Yeah, yeah, I've looked into it. It
I'll
looks
send you some links on devices that you can get for cheaper because there's
yeah,
like Juve and other products out there that are way too expensive.
yeah,
They're overpriced, but yeah, or you can just go out into the sun in the morning hours when the UV index isn't that high.
yeah. I go outside every day to get vitamin D.
There's a
Right.
great app that will help track you based on your location. It's called DMinder.
Mm,
So it'll take your location and time of year, and then all you do is you put in the cloud coverage and your skin exposure. So for me, like right now, if I went out, was it 2 o'clock for me in Florida? The UV index is probably around like 10 or 11. And I can put into this app that there's no clouds out there. So 0% cloud coverage. And I can wear my Speedo and go out there and get full body exposure. And I can generate vitamin D in like 30 minutes, like 20,000 IUs of it in 30
yeah.
minutes. Yeah. And it's a great app to track your levels and to tell you what time to go out during the day.
Mhm. Yeah, vitamin D is so important. And then the studies are coming out that most corona patients who die are super deficient in vitamin D. And then
Totally. Yeah. Vitamin D is kind of this immunomodulator that reduces a hyperimmune state. So when you'll see this cytokine storm that people are having and causing respiratory disease, essentially your immune system is just releasing tons of cytokines, and it seems to be more prevalent in those with vitamin D deficiency.
yeah.
So having that level to at least 30, I mean, depending on your genetics, and maybe up to 50 to 70. I mean, you don't want it too high. Uh, but getting it from the sun is going to be great at helping that cytokine storm if that ever happened to you, God forbid. And it's just good for your health overall.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's sad what's happening like around the world, partly because nutrition isn't taught in school and
Mm-hmm.
it's not really even taught in med school. So most people out there have no idea, what they're putting into their mouths or
Mm-hmm.
how it affects their health.
Fortunately, I mean, if we had a better food system out there, with foods that were grown in soil that was rich in minerals and things like that, it probably wouldn't be as bad. People wouldn't be as deficient in foods or deficient in nutrients. And then you have the hyperdensity of nutrition in like meats that you'll find. So people are just getting skewed nutrition. And I agree that nutrition should be taught in school, at least a course on what is. But in my I believe it was elementary school or some maybe fourth or fifth grade. I did have a course in diet and nutrition, but it was more towards like how to eat the My Plate on USA.gov or whatever the government U.S. government recommends.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, I
forgot
mean,
which
which
that is.
it's not enough.
It's
And
not enough, and it's not even accurate.
yeah.
Yeah, I believe it has milk and whole grains pretty prevalent in that diet. Most people with autoimmunity are going to find that detrimental to them.
Oh yeah.
Maybe people with cancer will have a little bit better effect, or people who are trying to get large will have a better effect with that diet. But Mediterranean is probably the best for cancer, to clarify.
Yeah. Yeah, the casein and well proteins in dairy and the lactose intolerance, which about 70% of the world population is lactose intolerant to some degree. So yeah, dairy is a no-no for me. And I mean, it showed up on my food sensitivity test.
Yeah, same here. I've got in my 23andMe, I'm a 55-ish% Ashkenazi Jew. So my heritage My ancestry, I don't, I'm not meant to consume milk post weaning off my mom.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
whole family's lactose intolerant.
Yeah. Yeah. Asians don't do well with dairy.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of people in that. And
Do you
then
get Asian flush from alcohol?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you lucked out on that one.
I did. Yeah. It's interesting you brought that up because just yesterday I watched a CNBC special on 23andMe and
Mhm.
how the founder was inspired, to create it. She actually was married to Sergey Brin of Google
Yeah.
for like 6 years. And then she created that, and then all the like the controversies that resulted from the tests. How accurate is it? And if it's telling women who are susceptible to breast cancers or ovarian cancers, and then have them, remove those organs and to prevent the cancer from happening, and then they find out that it's inaccurate, then like, how liable are they, kind of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
But I still haven't done a 23andMe or any of the DNA tests. I think
You
it
should.
would be
It's cheap.
fun. Yeah.
If you're spending 700 on a food sensitivity test, 1/7 of that can get you a 23andMe. And sometimes they even go on sale for like Black Friday or Mother's Day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
get.
mean,
I've seen them in like the $30 range as well. So
yeah. 23andMe, if you want to sponsor the show, hit me up. And then And then two, like the future of healthcare is totally personalized and customized to your specific body. Like that's so obvious. And people who tried the fad diets and don't get results obviously aren't doing something right. So
Mhm.
that's why in my post on longevity, I write that you need a food sensitivity test. The best one, not some bullshit Everlywell or skin prick tests or IgG tests, not those bullshits. And then you need an omega-3 test. I mean, chances are you're way inflamed in the cell membrane, so I would recommend a bioavailable omega-3, like we discussed. Yeah,
Those are great tests. I want to go back a little bit to we were talking about NRF2,
yeah.
and I've done extensive research on it. One thing that I've been taking that potently activates it is something called hydrogen water. And not only does it activate NRF2, it also increases the level of ghrelin in your body, which works on the growth hormone IGF-1 pathway, but also has like a potent nootropic effect. So you're getting like tons of benefits all in one. And it's something I take like 4 times a day in like tablet form. I'm not sponsored with this either. That is a like great way to reduce inflammation just in general. So like if you're having like a flare up, like taking that constantly will help.
What's it called?
Hydrogen water.
Hydrogen water.
Yeah.
And how much is it?
Depends if you get a machine that makes it or if you're buying like tablets. It can range from, I mean, the machines range from like a few $1,000s to the tablets, which is like, I don't know, a pack of 30 for $60. So $2 a tab.
Mhm. On average, how much do you think you are spending in 1 month on biohacking tools?
So, uh, I mean, if you want to call like an initial investment in like a red light that's like expensive, like something that's like $1,000, or versus something that's like a monthly supplement, probably spending, I don't know, per year on devices around 1 or 2 thousand, and then per month, I've got it pretty well locked down, so I'm probably around like $150 to $200 a month
Okay.
on supplements. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that still
That's
allows me some wiggle room to try different things as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have to spend excuse me, you don't have to spend a ton of money to biohack.
Yeah.
Once, I mean, I used to have a whole bin and like drawers of supplements when I was first figuring things out that worked for me and what didn't work for me, and things I read studies and I was super excited to try it out and would find like, oh, either this isn't working for me or making me feel worse. So I spent a lot of money on finding things that work well for me, and I just stick to those things. Well, I mean, like I cycle between a few different supplements, but they're mainly adaptogens, so they don't build up a tolerance effect.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you spending?
Yeah, I want to say around there, 100, 150. See, I get collagen powder, super important for skin. I mean, 75% of your skin is collagen. So, and I'm the healthy skin coach, so you got to promote
Gotta
collagen.
have healthy skin.
Yeah. And I get the collagen, I get the balance oil, which is the omega-3 oil, which covers my vitamin D input as well. I have probiotics. So I partner with Skinessa, which is the best skin probiotic in the market. And they have strains clinically proven to improve skin quality in eczema patients.
Hmm.
And
How profound are those effects? Like, how are you feeling them? Like, can you notice the difference in just that alone? Because I tried a product back, I don't know, a few years ago. I think it was something called like Dirt or something Dirt. I'm not 100% sure the name. I could send you a link after. And honestly, I tried it for a month. It was like it was more like a prebiotic with probiotics for your skin. I think it was like tested on horses originally. But I found like no benefit from it. If anything, I felt like it allowed a slight amount of dysbiosis because that summer I developed just a very small amounts of fungus growing on my face. At first, I thought I was getting vitiligo, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I like practice all these autoimmune things. There's like no possible way I could get vitiligo. I must have some really rare thing going on. Went to the doctor, and she's like, "Oh, it's just like a fungus that you've got on your face. Like that happens during the summer, especially in Florida where it's humid, and this stuff just floats around." As I was getting like tan with little like white spots because I'd be in the sun all the time and my body tans really well. And so these white spots everywhere. I'm glad I found out it was just a fungus because that was just a simple solution of coconut oil. But I think that probiotic skin thing that I tried led to that.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and on about probiotics and how 95% of the products out there don't even show the strain of
Hmm.
bacteria,
Yeah.
which, yeah, it shows species and genus and species, but not the strain. And there's like
Yeah.
hundreds of different strains in one species. So you could be taking one that is
I
harming
love
you.
that they just throw a whole bunch into a capsule and market it because
Yeah.
it's the same name.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, and then people are sold on the number of CFUs, like 100
Like
billion
as if more
CFUs.
did, like as if more had a better effect.
Right.
There's
Um,
something that I found that really helps me, BB Longum 536, and I've talked about it multiple times on my blog, and it just has a profound effect on histamine issues. So if you have like a histamine reaction, which eczema is related to mast cells when they are degranulate, and BB Longum 536 has this like antihistamine property inside of it, and also has like helps you grow the seeds of your microbiome to grow more healthy, like lactobacillus and other bifidobacterium.
mhm.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. And I had a doctor microbiome who discovered like the combination of fungus and bacteria, or healthy bacteria and healthy fungus, and
Yeah,
he created a biome, which is like another probiotic company. But yeah, I mean, the
good to
microbiome is
know.
still relatively new science, and majority of the people have no idea what it is, and it's so important for your health. So
Yeah, if people just took a little bit of knowledge of any of these things and applied it to their life, or just were cognizant of like the microbiome, you could see a dramatic improvement in the overall like costs of healthcare.
oh yeah,
And
oh yeah,
the rates of like IBS and other gastrointestinal diseases would probably go down. Just if there was like a teaching of it. I'm curious as to, because I went to school like 20 years ago, if like biology classes are teaching about the microbiome at a young age, so children understand it.
probably not still. I
Maybe
don't
not.
think so.
It may be too new of research. I mean, it maybe in the next like 7 to 10 years or something, there'll be some of that because like it is science now. Uh, it just takes a while to get to the public and then to the schools.
Yeah. And for us, I mean, it took us like suffering from a medical condition in
Yeah.
order for us to get off our asses and start studying. And then we discover things that doctors and dermatologists don't tell us. And so now we know almost more than these doctors. And now we want to share with the world and help people heal the right way,
Yeah,
you know?
totally. Yeah.
So I was talking to someone on Twitter and she had psoriasis. And what's interesting is her strep throat caused her immune system to overreact. And that caused too many inflammatory cytokines to build up. And that's why she was seeing psoriasis. And so she was taking Humira,
Hmm.
which blocks tumor necrosis factor, in order to heal her psoriasis.
Yeah.
And I was telling her there's more natural ways to reduce TNF in the body, but most people just kind of stick to drugs.
They're potent inhibitors like Humira. I mean, they're great for like acute flare ups, but like keeping on them, you're gonna get a buttload of side effects. Like all drugs, I think all drugs and chemicals have a place in their right for whether if you need them or not in like acute settings, but not everything needs to be chronic. And if you're living with psoriasis and you're on these drugs, you should work with an alternative medicine doctor or a integrative doctor or the healthy skin coach um, to find out what may be an alternative therapy to help you so you're not on these drugs for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I have a huge database of foods and herbs that reduce TNF in the body. So that's how I help clients that way.
I love that you have that.
Yeah, and you, I'm sure, have huge database. I've seen your articles and research. I'm like, wow.
I have everything from lifestyle to food to drugs to chemicals to pathways to whatever whatever I can find in the research that can activate a gene or a pathway or increase or decrease a level of a biomarker, then it's on that website.
Mhm. How often are like clients kind of reaching out to you?
Oh, every day. And
Nice.
there's been so now that this COVID thing's happened, I've had more time since I'm not traveling anymore for PBS, and so I have a lot more time. So I've gotten back into, as you can see with this mic setup here, I've been working with an integrated practice down in Hollywood, Florida, and we've been working on a podcast together. So that's something new in my life. We're gonna have a lot of awesome topics on there too. Like
Nice.
just like how this conversation's awesome, we're gonna have things like that there too.
Yeah, I mean, when I would love to join your podcast.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we've got a pretty large queue, but we're gonna get you on there too. It's
for
been
sure,
fun.
for sure.
This conversation's been cool.
And do you know Oz Garcia, the celebrity nutritionist?
Like Dr. Oz?
No, not
I don't
Dr.
know
Oz,
who Oz
different
Garcia is.
Oz. But he's a nutritionist for Heidi Klum and Naomi Campbell and other celebs. And
I don't follow celebrities too much, so I
okay,
don't know those names.
yeah.
It's funny. I was in the film industry, and people would be like, "Oh, we've got this person on set, and we've got like this person." I'm like, "Who?" Because I was in the technical side of everything, so I was
Right.
just like, I'm like really into sound, and I'm really into color design, and I was just like wouldn't know who anyone is. But if they were talking about like a brand new mixing board, I'd be like, "Wow, I can't believe you got that."
That's funny.
Yeah, my area is not into celebrities at all.
Gotcha. Well, anyway, I'm doing a live stream with Oz on Friday, and we're just gonna talk about how another two more biohackers trying to
Cool.
get through
I'm
this
excited to
quarantine.
hear that. I'd love to learn
Yeah.
more. I mean, if I could always learn more, I
Oh,
would. If my
yeah.
brain could be as plastic as possible, but also solidify the connections that I learned,
Yeah.
not too plastic.
Yeah. What do you think the post quarantine world? What do you think it will look like?
So it's actually kind of funny. A few years ago, I had a problem with mold, and at the same time, I had spilled a bunch of essential oils that were undiluted onto my hands. And as you know, how like potent essential oils are on changing the immune system and having all these like plethora of effects, whether they're beneficial or detrimental, having them undiluted on your skin was a very potent immunostimulator to my system, and it primed me to be chemically sensitive. And so I've had for such a long time now, or it's felt like a long time, where perfumes and smells and detergents and cleaners and all that kind of stuff would bother me to the point where I'd get body buzzing, like the same type of effect that people describe when they're coming off like benzos. And so I would have that. It was really impeding my quality of life. And so I was just like used to, because of mold and because of chemical sensitivities, of just like cleaning things on the regular. So like I've already adapted to this. So I really, 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 really feel for all the people now that are like just getting isopropyl alcohol on their shelves, or just having to clean their hands, and or using gloves or whatever it is, or showering or that kind of stuff. So I've already done it, and I've done it long enough where I've learned that some parts were OCD and other parts like weren't. So I'm cognizant of it all. And it honestly, I've been pretty calm this whole time. And I think after that, all this, I hope people become in the similar type of mindset that I have, where you realize like, oh, this was just like me being hyper vigilant for a fearful reason rather than actually a problem. I hope that people don't come out of this with like micro trauma or PTSD, things like that.
Hmm. I think we'll be social distancing for a long time. I think it might be permanent because just how fast it spread, we realize that humans are dirty as fuck, and we share germs. Like, and I
Yeah.
watched a video on, uh, it was like at a buffet restaurant. They sprayed one guy's hand with glow in the dark soap, and within 30 minutes, literally everywhere on people's faces, and just after one guy touching it.
Yeah,
And
so particulate matter, depending on like how big they are, means like their weight. And you can have tiny, tiny, tiny particulate matter. Like viruses are in the size of Daltons, and I mean they can just travel with air. I think COVID itself can travel up to like 300 miles if you put it in the exact right conditions. I mean, by exact right, I mean like there's like a nice breeze. The person like sneezed, and it was on some other particles, and the temperature was right. And according to studies, like if it does last 3 hours in the air versus 5 minutes in the air, the perfect conditions have to happen for that.
hmm,
Yeah. So I if people have that kind of knowledge, they may be fearful for like any disease. But I believe that actually people may go back to their old way of life. And I mean, maybe not exactly, but for like a good like 10 years, maybe I'll be more cognizant of diseases and things like that, 15, 20 years. But as the generations fade, then people are going to be probably the same type of hygiene that we found earlier, if not more, since things are always cleaned, like the hygiene hypothesis and things. The hygiene hypothesis, or should I explain it? I'll explain it for the for the viewers or listeners. Essentially, it states that like our microbiomes have changed significantly because we clean everything. So at a young age, because you didn't have the ability to go out and eat soil and get your hands dirty and get like infections at a young age. And I'm not talking about like chronic infections. I'm talking about like flus and things like that. That your body and your immune system and your microbiome didn't all learn that like what was healthy and what was like dangerous and what was like not dangerous. So when they're at a young age may develop a peanut allergy later on in life because they were never introduced to it. I mean, there are biohacks to introduce those back into your diet, but that's what essentially the hygiene hypothesis is. And I believe people are still probably going to get more hygienic, just the way that humans go.
hmm, interesting. Yeah, and we actually need more diversity in our microbiomes in order
Totally,
to
yeah. If we
signal our
could like
body to become
get
strong.
if we can get fecal matter transplants from like our ancestors, that would be awesome. Like if I could get it from my Jewish ancestors, I bet like, and I could replace it to that, I would probably be very well off.
Dig them up from the
I
grave.
don't know if that would work, but yeah.
What's interesting is, say we open up concerts and sports arenas back up again,
Hmm.
and then we probably will have like empty seats in between everyone. Then an outbreak happens still. like, are these venues responsible or liable
Mhm.
for, hosting such a large event? Are
Well,
they
I mean,
gonna
you don't sue people for getting the flu, even if everyone got the flu there. And like two of them died because there was an old couple there, you know? Like, I don't know if you can get insurance on that, but that would be interesting. I'm
I'm
curious to see if
sure.
that happens.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll get insurance. And you might have to sign something like on the ticket when you get it.
Yeah.
Like, we can't sue.
I'm curious as to, I know some people are talking about like having cards or chips implanted in their body saying like I've been vaccinated or I have antibodies, so I'm immune. Um, that may be something that's going to happen. I know most people, including myself, don't really want to have to carry something around. And I don't believe that other people have the right to tell me what to put in my body. Yeah, I'm American and I'm going to protest and be myself if I need to be that way.
Yeah, that's just one step closer to a dystopia. Crazy
Honestly, it
world.
felt like 28 days later when this first happened, which is like a zombie apocalypse movie. And I was like, all right, who has rage, which is the virus for the zombie movie, or who has COVID? Like scouting that out
Yeah.
on the streets.
When I do my jogs around the neighborhood, these old people are yelling at me for not wearing a mask. And they're super, they're super
It's funny
careful.
because yelling, they're like projecting whatever is in their system out at you. And you're just like mouthing back, like,
Even though we're like,
oh,
20
yeah, yeah,
feet
I'm sure
away.
you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I am, like we it's more suburban, so you got houses in between you.
Yeah. Well, in like Westwood, I'm not like in downtown, so
Oh, it's more hilly over there.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah. All
yeah,
right, so you're better
yeah.
off.
I live in suburbia, which is nice.
Nice.
And the air has cleared up, so like,
Oh, I bet.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was living in Echo Park, I took a trip out. There's I forget what that mountain is called, or pretty much a hill that looks over LA, and it was like a day right after it rained, and it was like, whoa, I did not know LA was this beautiful. But I'm sure you're getting that like every day now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even though today's cloudy-ish, but yeah, I mean, yesterday like the sky's just the brightest blue. It's
That is
beautiful.
awesome.
Yeah. Do
That
you
is
miss
awesome.
LA?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think if I would ever go back to California, it would be more the San Luis Obispo area.
Okay.
There's just a lot more open space there, and you still have the ability to get to LA if you need to, or San Francisco. They're both like 3.5 hour drives from each other, so it's like kind of like right in the center.
Yeah,
And
LA just has been my dream home
where were
ever.
you before?
Iowa.
Okay,
I So I'm born in
yeah.
Tokyo,
Where
grew
in
up in
Iowa?
Des Moines area.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just in there for a shoot. I guess like a year ago. Very, very nice area. I liked it. I had a lot of fun there.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's just
I could see
not much
how
to
coming
do.
from like a quainter area like that and moving to LA
Yeah.
is such a change. And after living in Boston and Los Angeles for like over a decade together, you go to the quaint areas and you're like, it's nice and relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And a lot of Asians have the like the Hollywood and the Beverly Hills mindset. So
yeah,
they just want to come out here, and I was one of them. And now that I'm here, I'm perfectly satisfied, you know.
that's awesome. Yeah, if I ever make it out down there, we're gonna have to meet up.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll get some ramen or some sushi. What's your favorite food in LA?
My favorite food. Okay, so there was this really good vegan, gluten-free sushi place. I have no idea what the name is because it was like forever ago. I love that. I also love in LA. There's a vegan place. I'll have to look it up on a map. I'll send it to you after this.
Have you ever had vegan ramen?
I haven't had vegan ramen. Technically had vegan ramen, but I've never like gone out to get vegan ramen.
There's one in downtown that where a bunch of restaurants are in that. What's it called? Grand Central?
Grand Central. Okay.
Yeah, really good.
I've never been to. I didn't know there was a ramen place there. I guess maybe it was just like not on my radar when I was there.
It's right next to Egg Slut.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I'm curious as to what this website or this food place is. Vegan
What's it called? What's it called? Ramen Hood. Yeah, yeah. Ramen
ramen
Hood.
hood. Oh, that sounds awesome.
It's
Yeah,
really
I'd be
good.
down to get that.
Yeah, I used to work there, or work around there, so I would go to Grand Central a lot. I haven't gone in months. Kind of miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So the place that I used to go to, it looks like it was closed down,
Oh, too bad.
but it looks like it was replaced by Sage Plant Bistro.
Are you fully vegan?
No, I'm pescatarian for the most part in terms of like food. I mean, I'll eat eggs if it's like already baked into something,
Yeah.
and I'll just know like, hey, be cognizant of taking anticholinesterase inhibitors, which like increase acetylcholine in my brain, which like kind of like gives me that choline depression, brain fog stuff. So I'll have pretty much a pescatarian diet, grain free. I mean, unless you sell like really good tacos. Uh, and my supplements, I mean, they have like, I'll eat beef organs and stuff in my supplements. And I know there's like, I'll have chicken bone broth in my quinoa. But other than that, it's mostly pescatarian. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like to switch my diet up with as many things as I can within that area. Israel for a week. I had a shoot out there for this textile company, and the hotel I was staying at with my partner, breakfast and dinner were included. So we would just like eat only breakfast and only dinner and like use it because it was just like free food, and it was all Mediterranean food. So it was like fresh, like olive oil base, tons of greens. I mean, there were like lots of nightshades, but like I wasn't really reacting to nightshades, and it was so awesome. I had such an amazing antidepressant effect just being there. Also, traveling to other countries and having fun has that effect. But my digestive system felt amazing.
Mhm.
And so, like having like a basic Mediterranean diet, which is like kind of what you and I have right now, but being there like full hardcore of having traditional people make it is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to Europe, but the best Italian food I had was in Tulum. Like
Mhm.
this Italian family built a restaurant on the beach, and it was so good. So that makes me want to go to Italy and get like authentic Italian food. But
I heard so I heard that there's a large percentage of Italians that are celiac. So there's a lot of gluten-free options out there,
mhm.
which is cool.
Yeah,
If you're
from what I've
traveling.
heard, like yeah, the gluten over there is just different. So it's way less reactive for people on their
Yeah,
digestion.
I think it's what was it? I'm sure glyphosate usage is the same, but I think it's just the different types of seeds or germination.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to look into that again. Research all these different things. You don't need to keep every single piece of data in your brain. So you're
No.
like, I know of this, but
Yeah.
not this one piece.
Yeah. Italians live a long time. Japanese people live a long time, and Hong Kong was the highest life expectancy at like 84 years old on average.
That's awesome.
And most of those diets are just vegetables, fish, fruits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
way to
if
go.
you are never inflamed from day one, like eating a traditional American diet, then, or standard American diet, sad, then you'll probably live a lot longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I watched a really nice video like 100 years ago. We didn't really have heart disease or cancers. It was more dying from viruses, right?
Yeah. You'd get like an
Back then,
infection from
yeah.
stepping on something.
And then the
Or you get
introduction,
killed by someone else because there's no laws.
yeah, and then the introduction of vegetable oils, and it's like directly correlated with how fat people got, and it's just like an exponential rise.
So we
And
always have to be cognizant of looking at videos like that. I don't know which one you're referring to, but making sure that it's peer reviewed and that they're not just looking at correlation, like saying that things are caused by that, It's
sure,
just
no,
to you and the listeners.
yeah,
So
yeah, he's a well-known. I forgot the name of the research scientist, but he's pretty well known. So
definitely agree that probably vegetable oil has an effect too. That like consuming that and replacing it for all the other fats probably got some detrimental effect on those levels.
just now that I understand the pathway of omega sixes and how it affects my body, I'm like, wow. I mean, for some people, they don't see it in the skin, but then it just builds up more fat and cholesterol inside the body, and then that has all the detrimental effects. I firmly believe that omega-6s are just killing the population slowly. I mean, it's poison
So
pretty much.
I became very cognizant of omega 6s, and the listeners should too if you've ever had a concussion or a traumatic brain injury. So your brain needs healthy fats because your brain is like 40% fat, or it is 40% fat. If you have a concussion or a brain injury, your brain cells need to repair themselves, and they do it actively and quickly, and they'll use what resources you have. And if you're only feeding it omega 6s and crappy fats, then you're going to replace your brain after the concussion. It's not going to heal right. You're going to be stuck with oxidized brain for at least a few years. So that's what got me really into eating healthy fats, was having to have a brain injury. So I was walking off a boat. It was slippery. It was slippery because it just started raining, and I fell headfirst onto a concrete dock, fell into the water, whatever. And I was like so changed after that. My emotion changed completely on the kind of person that, like, if you look at my videos of how I used to look and react and be super expressive and happy all the time, like, or maybe exuberant is a better word, because I am happy now. The concussion really, really like changed me, and I became more, not necessarily clear focused, but I became essentially like more clear on what I want to do. Not like superpowers or anything like that. But I just like wasn't messed by distractions of emotion.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I could still feel emotion because I really, really feel it when I use emotion.
Yeah. You hear like stories of people becoming savants and just becoming like having like 200 IQ all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Crack their
Well, I
head.
didn't get 200 IQ, but I did learn a good lesson in healthy fats. I wish I got both, but
Yeah. Yeah. You imagine getting a superpower because you hit your
oh
head.
yeah, and I did have laser vision.
All right. Yeah. This has been awesome. Thank you, Jacob, so much for joining the podcast. Where can the billions of viewers and listeners find you?
You can find me over at mybiohack.com, and we've got tons of resources there. If you're suffering from any problems, from autoimmune problems to chronic fatigue, neuroimmunology problems, tons of resources. It's a big database. It's all free and available to you. And you could also come over to my new podcast, which is called Solving Problems with Jacob Gordon, on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Boom. Drop the mic. All right, everyone, go like all his pages. And honestly, my biohack has a really great database of all, like, so much stuff that you can read about and learn about on biohacking, on nutrition, on health. All right. Stay safe, Jacob, out there. And
Likewise,
as
you too.
always, Taco is out.